one web series came and almost the entire India started talking about a scam that happened in 1992. But did you know the scam 1992 did not even make it to the list of top 5 scams that happened in India?
This $1 million fraud is one of the biggest corporate scams that India has ever seen.
Yes, that's right. Even though Harshal Mehta might have motivated and still motivates thousands of people to commit fraud, he is not the big bull after all. India is a land known for its rich culture, history and diversity, but behind the vibrant colors and rapid development, there lies a darker side. The shocking stories of scams that have shaken the nation. From multiple financial scandals to clever internet frauds, scams in India have impacted people from all walks of life. Doesn't really matter whether you are rich, middle class or poor, scams in India are more common than you think. So today we are diving deep into some of the biggest scams in Indian history, the masterminds behind them, and the stories of how these scams were finally uncovered. Number 1, coal allocation scam.
कोल स्कैम, उदाहरण लीजिए कोल स्कैम.
This scam was a big embarrassment to the central government led by Manmohan Singh that he even announced that he would resign if it was true, because this corruption took 1.86 lakh crore rupees from the government's pocket.
Supreme Court will hear former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's plea challenging the summons issued to him in the coal block allocation scam.
But when an effort is made to say it in numbers, it's a shocking 1,86,000 crores.
India has lot of coal, which is an important natural resource used to produce electricity and other fuel industries. The government owns most of this coal and is responsible to allocate private companies to mine the coal and use it. So what went wrong? Normally companies are supposed to compete fairly to get these mining rights so that the country gets good value for the resources we have. But here, instead of fair and open competition, the coal rights were allegedly given to companies without any bidding process. This meant certain companies received valuable coal resources at a very low price without even having to compete for them. There was no competition. So this unfair advantage led to suspicion that some officials and companies made secret deals and took shortcuts to get the coal mining for the cheaper price. In 2012, the Comptroller and Auditor General raised concerns that the government might have lost somewhere around 10.6 lakh crore rupees throughout the coal allocation period, that is between 1992 to 2010. Later, they changed this loss to 1.8 lakh crore rupees, making the scam the worst of all. Now, why was it a big deal? Coal was a public resource, which means it belongs to everyone in the country. When it's unfairly allocated, it's a loss to the public and benefits only a few people. And the government lost so much money that should otherwise go for the betterment of the people. All thanks to the CBI investigation, top officials like former Coal Secretary H.C. Gupta and 2 other senior IAS officers were also convicted in one of the many cases. In fact, the former Chief Minister of Jharkhand, Madhu Koda, was also convicted in this case. Now we can understand how lack of transparency can lead to big problems, and this shows how important it is to keep things clear and recorded. With Odoo's invoicing feature, managing payments is easier than ever. Odoo invoicing lets you create, send and track invoices in just few clicks. All your invoicing needs right in one place. You can quickly make professional branded invoices and even set up automatic billing for repeated customers. Plus, Odoo sends reminders so you don't have to worry about overdue payments. And with Odoo's secure payment options, your customers can pay online, helping you get paid faster. With real-time update, you always know what's paid and what's due. No more guesswork, just clear, easy to understand reports. Odoo invoicing is simple, powerful and helps you save time. Get rid of the invoicing headache and let Odoo make it easy for you. Try Odoo today and experience the stress-free invoicing. Number 2, 2G scam. This is a very famous one. In 2008, the government was supposed to issue licenses to telecom companies which will allow them to use the 2G radio frequency for mobile networks. Normally, a bidding process will happen to get these licenses, which will ensure a fair price in competition. But instead of holding open auctions, the officials allegedly gave licenses to certain companies at a very low outdated price on first come first serve basis. This led to suspicions that the officials intentionally intentionally favored specific companies, giving them valuable licenses for much cheaper price than what they're worth for. So there was no competition, it was just given to specific companies by the officials, and the government lost 1.7 lakh crore rupees, which made this the second largest scam in India. Then the Supreme Court cancelled 122 licenses that were issued after years of courtroom drama, and the CBI probe is still going on in this case. Number 3, Commonwealth Game Scam. Now you may think, what else can be worse? Well, brace yourself, because the Commonwealth Game Scam of 2010 was no less. India lost nearly 70,000 crore rupees in this scandal, and the scam started even before the game started. The Commonwealth Game is a major international sports event, and hosting them requires a lot of money to build facilities. So the Indian government allocated a huge budget to make sure everything was top-notch for the game. The budget allocated for the event was 11,500 crores, but the government ended up spending 70,000 crores. Reportedly, the officers misused the funds.
CBI is raiding Commonwealth Games Organizing Committee Chief Suresh Kalmadi.
They overcharged for things like sports equipments, infrastructure, and even services. For example, things that could be bought for a certain price was being bought for double or even triple the amount. Timing and scoring equipment contract were given to a company called Swiss Company for 141 crore rupees, but the actual contract is worth for only 47 crore rupees. On top of it, the public funds were spent on luxury items, accommodation, and other non-essential expenses for organizing committee members. Note this, for organizing committee members, not for players. In fact, payments were made to companies that do not even exist. Now, why was this such a big deal? This was a big deal because Commonwealth Games was a matter of national pride for India, and this corruption scandal embarrassed the country on an international stage. Number 4, the Ketan Parekh scam. Ketan Parekh was a stockbroker who was working in the Bombay Stock Exchange. He became famous in the late 1990s and in the early 2000s for making big moves in the stock market, and he was known for influencing the stock prices. So what was the scam about? He used a strategy called bump and dump. He selected specific stocks, often smaller or lesser known companies, and started buying them in large quantities. It created a sense of demand, so others also started buying the same stock, which caused the price to rise very rapidly. As the prices went up already, Parekh and his associates sold their shares for huge prices. Now, since they sold the shares in large quantities, the stock price crashed, leaving other investors with big losses. And to manipulate stock prices, he used the funds that was borrowed from the banks and other financial resources. He then directed that money to push up stock prices artificially. And to get the industrial investors to invest in his stocks, he started circular trading, a method where trader A buys some stocks, sells them to B, and then B sells to C, and the chain will keep on going like this, which depicts a false image of stock growth. Soon he became too greedy and wanted to get more funds to pump up stock prices on a larger scale, and finally the Mumbai Bank of India filed a complaint saying that he had defrauded them of 137 crore rupees, and when the CBI began the investigation, he was found to have made 40,000 crore rupees profit. Number 5, the DHFL scam. DHFL was a big non-banking financial company that provided housing loans to people across India. It was trusted as a company that was helping people to get affordable homes, but behind the scenes, there was a lot more going on. So what actually happened? The founders Kapil and Dheeraj Vadhavan allegedly diverted over 29,000 crore rupees to 66 companies connected to them. This means they essentially sent the huge amount of money back to themselves through these companies instead of actually using it for housing loans. Now, how did they manage to do this? The brothers operated a network of 87 shell companies. Shell companies are companies that exist only on papers, but they don't really run any real business operations.
The biggest bank scam unearthed in the country. The Union Bank of India filed an FIR against the promoters of Dewan Housing Finance Corporate and several others.
In this case, the Vadhavan Vadhavan brothers used these shell companies to redirect 11,000 crores for their personal use. They took advantage of their control over DHFL and created fake borrowers in companies just to shift the money around. This fraud came to light during an audit by a firm named KPMG, which reviewed DHFL's account from 2016 to 2019. When CBI started investigating in 2019, they found that the DHFL had created millions of fake borrower accounts, and the companies used these fake accounts with real customer data to claim government subsidies for loans, which brought in another 1,880 crore rupees. Once this massive scam was uncovered, the Vadhavan brothers very obviously faced serious charges, and DHFL was eventually dissolved because it was no longer seen as a trustworthy financial company. And the scale of the scam, involving over 34,000 crore rupees, severely impacted people's trust on non-banking financial companies. Number 6, the stamp paper scam. Yes, thousands of crores of scam made out of stamp paper. Abdul Karim Telgi was a businessman who started off by creating fake passports and documents. Initially, he used to send workers from India to Saudi Arabia, but soon he shifted to a bigger fraud, creating fake stamp papers. He bribed the government officials to help him create an artificial shortage of important stamp papers, and the shortage increased the demand, which again helped him to supply his own produced stamp papers to multiple states across India. He even got access to government machinery and printing material, which helped him to create high quality fake stamps that looked almost identical to the real ones. This fake stamp paper business went on from 1992 to 2003, almost 11 years, which cost a loss of 30,000 crore rupees to the government. Then how did he get caught? In the year 2000, 2 government officials were arrested while transporting these fake stamp papers. While questioning, they revealed Telgi's name, and then he got arrested. You know what's the cherry on top? He had been running this scam for years with police complaints on him, for which no actions were taken before. But fortunately, this time he was tried and sentenced 30 years in prison and fined heavily. But imagine a single man fooled the entire country for a decade with the support of government officials. Number 7, ABG Shipyard scam. ABG Shipyard is a shipbuilding company that took large loans from 28 banks to fund its operations. But instead of paying back the loan, the company diverted the funds for other purposes, which caused a loss of 23,000 crores for those banks.
Rupees 22,800 crores. Well, that's the amount that banks have lost in the ABG Shipyard fraud.
In 2013, ABG Shipyard stopped making payments on the loan, and the account became non-performing asset. That means the bank had not received any payment in the last 90 days. In 2019, the State Bank of India filed an official complaint saying that the ABG Shipyard had not used the funds for the intended purpose. Instead, they are diverting the funds to other companies related to ABG, suggesting that the funds are being misused. And ABG Shipyard owed large amounts of money to several banks. For SBI Bank, 2,925 crores, ICICI Bank, 7,089 crores, IDBI Bank, 3,634 crores, Bank of Baroda, 1,614 crores, Punjab National Bank, 1,244 crores, Indian Overseas Bank, 1,228 crores. In fact, the ED had registered a separate case against them on money laundering as well. Number 8, Satyam Computers. Satyam Computers was once India's one of the top IT companies, admired for its rapid growth and success. But in 2009, the company's founder and chairman Ramalingam Raju admitted that the company's success was largely fake. Starting in 2003, Ramalingam Raju began altering Satyam's financial records to make the company look more profitable than it really was. He used several tricks to create this illusion. Point 1, fake sales and earnings. He boosted revenue numbers and projects only on paper. Point 2, non-existent clients. He created fake clients and invoices as if they were buying a service. Point 3, fake bank accounts and employees. He created fake bank accounts and even added fake employees to make the company seem bigger. This created a false impression of profitability and strong growth, which attracted more investors, and that pushed up Satyam's stock prices. This game continued for years until an industry downturn put financial pressure on Satyam. Investors started demanding their money back, and Raju could not keep up with the illusion anymore. Finally, in 2009, he confessed to falsifying the company records and admitting to manipulating nearly 13,000 crores. He took full responsibility for the fraud, and he, along with 10 other people, were found guilty in the court. Number 9, the Nirav Modi scam. Now, this is a famous one. Nirav Modi is a famous jeweler and designer from Gujarat. He used his connections and influence to carry out a massive fraud against the Punjab National Bank, which is one of the India's largest banks. Nirav Modi bribed some BNB employees to issue unauthorized letters of understanding (LOUs) on behalf of his companies. LOUs are a kind of guarantee that banks issue to help customers get loans from foreign banks. But here in this case, these LOUs were issued illegally, and there was a weakness in PNB system that allowed this fraud to go unnoticed.
Ex-Punjab National Bank officials Gokulnath Shetty, who connived with Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi to dupe the bank of over 11,000 crore rupees, has now been arrested.
PNB's core banking system used to track transactions within the bank, and Swift Network is a global messaging system banks used to securely send transaction information internationally, and there was a gap between the two. Normally, when an LOUs is issued, it should show up in the PNB system, but because of this disconnect, the LOUs Nirav Modi got by paying bribe did not show up in the bank's internal system right away, and this allowed the same LOUs to be fraudulently reissued multiple times without being noticed. LOUs are usually valid only for 90 days, but here in this case, the bank employees helped him to cover it up. So these unauthorized LOUs continued for years, which helped Nirav Modi to borrow and move large sums of money. So a small technical disconnect in PNB system costed them 12,000 crore rupees. Number 10, the famous Harshad Mehta scam 1992. Harshad Mehta was a stockbroker who became famous by manipulating the stock market and was even named the Big Bull because of his influence in pushing the stock market prices up. Now, how did this scam happen? At that time, the banks in India could only buy government securities through brokers, and Harshad Mehta acted as a middleman between banks, and here's where he manipulated the system. Number 1, ready forward deals. Mehta helped to arrange transactions called ready forward deals between banks, which is like a short-term loans where one bank would lend securities to another bank. Number 2, diverting the funds. Instead of passing the money directly between banks, he convinced the banks to transfer the money into his own account temporarily, and he promised the banks higher returns in exchange for this. Number 3, investing in stocks. Using the money he received from the banks, Mehta bought large quantities of certain stocks on the Bombay Stock Exchange. This increased the demand and caused the stock prices to rise. Number 4, artificially inflated prices. As Mehta pumped more money into these stocks, their prices went up crazily. For example, the share prices of ACC, a cement company, went from 200 rupees to 9,000 rupees within few months. Seeing this, the other investors joined in buying the same stocks, which made the price to go up even more crazily. Number 5, selling at a profit. Now the prices are up, he would sell all those inflated stocks and make a crazy amount of money. Now he would return the money that he borrowed from the banks, and he is left with a crazy amount of profit in the process. This scam was uncovered when the State Bank of India noticed a shortage in government securities, which eventually led to an investigation. Then it was revealed that Mehta had manipulated over 3,500 crore rupees using the scheme. Once the scam came to light in August 1992, the entire stock market crashed, losing 72% of its value and entered a downward phase which lasted for 2 whole years. Many investors and banks suffered huge losses, and after this one incident, strict laws were implemented to prevent such frauds in the future. Now, India's biggest scam leaves us with some tough questions about how our system works. How did these massive frauds happen without anyone noticing? Where were the protection for people's money? And how could a few people misuse their power to create such huge losses that affected millions of ordinary people? These scams makes us question the strength of the very system that's supposed to protect us. Are banks and financial institutions, are they really safe, or are they really that easy to exploit? Why wasn't anyone watching closely enough to stop this from happening? And how did those people who are responsible for this manage to hide this for so long? These are not just stories of greed, they reveal deeper problems in the system that we can't afford to ignore. We need tougher laws and more transparency. Remember, if we don't learn from the past, we are tend to repeat the same mistakes in the future. This is me sharing history that demands change.